Jim's people waiting at home.
Good evening and welcome. I think I express on behalf of everybody, I wasn't expecting to be here to give this chairman's meeting. We have all been expecting Michael would, he's done the past 3, but life goes on. So welcome. You can go to the next slide. And welcome to all the people who are at Zoom at home. We were unable to get as many people into this room as we would have liked, and it's great to have the backup of people providing the forum and the interest with us. The next slide. We must acknowledge where we are holding this meeting. It's being held on the Algonquin First Nations territories, and we're very happy to be able to host it here. Next. Okay, we called to order happened a couple of minutes ago. We have now checked our requirement for us that we have 15 members. We have 7 people on the board. That means we need to have 15 members combined with the ones who are here and the ones who are on Zoom. And we have just surpassed that. So we're happy with that. Do we have anyone who has to declare any conflicts of interest? If not, then we will move on to the agenda, which should show next. I'm sorry. That was the agenda. Go back, Alex. Do we have any other items that people would like to add on to the agenda? If not, I would ask that someone move that we adopt the agenda. Moved by Dave Cox, seconded by Alan Simons. We will then move on to the minutes of the last year's AGM. They were mailed out to everyone. Are there any questions on the minutes? If not, I think the traditional approach is that the secretary moves that we adopt his minutes. Is there a seconder? Serena? Any further discussion? Not people in favor? Any objections? Okay, carried. There is a hockey game on this evening, so I am going to move through here fairly quickly, and the shorter we have people together, the less the chances are of vote. We'll move next to the president's report. Next slide. That we repeat again and again about what the purpose of the society is, that we're trying to collect, preserve, and protect artifacts. We've been working very hard at that. Stakeholders, we know almost anyone in the area. Outside of our area, researchers, and in fact, all of the Canadians. We move on to the next one. Right now, I think Alan said as of today, his count was that we are at 50, so I can take away the approximately 50.
And that's the calendar year 2021, this year.
Okay.
Roughly the same in 2020.
Our present board of directors, I'm the acting president, Morgan's your secretary, Don Barrington over there, our treasurer, Alan Simons on membership. Tom Allberger has been cataloging for years at great rates. Dave has been looking after many of our dealings with ACL and CNL, and we'll talk about some success later there. And then Serena, who's been doing the website and is now handling our Zoom presentation. Committees, we have 5 different committees, and you can read the names there as well as I can. So, next slide. What have we been able to achieve? We started out in the building, we went into the building in 2018 with a huge empty building and very few things around. And we're now getting to the point where when someone says, can we fit this in? We have to take a look at what we have to shift around to fit this in. We've got over 540 what we call physical artifacts. Some are small little pieces of fuel and some are huge models. 1,700 plus catalog books, pamphlets, maps, CDs, DVDs, video cassettes. More than 800 ACL and other numbered reports. About 30 meters of documentation in boxes. So if you put them all on the shelf, that's about the length of it. And more than 1,500 catalog hard copy photographs. So we will get a family says, can we take my dad, my mom's collection of what they've got? Great big pile of photographs. Unfortunately, an awful lot of those photographs have on the back that they say cannot be reproduced without permission from ACL. And we must admit that getting that permission is often very difficult. Not difficult for being, but difficult time-wise. We've had over 50 articles in the NRP. They're all on the website as well. 7 newsletters, updates on Facebook and Twitter. Those are slowed down a little bit. We've made a renewed start on the open houses. COVID has certainly put a hold on a lot, but we've now had 2 very successful ones. And we've been discussing when we could try to have the next one, and possibility suggested is between Christmas and New Year's when there's more visitors into town. It would be great if we could have one on a regular basis, let's say every second weekend. But we just don't have enough people who can man and be there to have the visitors. We produced a historic houses brochure with the assistance of the library here. They're available at the museum, they're available in the library, and they have been tremendously helpful to produce that. We've started on video interviews. Alex Stevens has got some very professional equipment now. We had 2 ones that were done several years ago on Archie Robertson and Walt Wojtowicz. Larry Thompson and Mary McCafferty did those. We started with John Hilborn being our very first person and did a great one there, and then COVID hit. However, we've got 6 people who have agreed, and we set up sort of the studio in 51 Poplar, and we hope over the next month and a half, we'll be able to get those done another way. Unfortunately, we're 10 years too late. There are people in town right now who dementia has claimed who would be fantastic information. There are people who have passed away. But we'll try to get as many of them as we really can, including, I've had an agreement from at least 2 females also. So that will be good. We have received an extension to the lease at 51 Butler, so that was a large part of Dave's work. And we're okay there until November the 1st of 2024, at least. And what has really helped there is there's a new roof on the building. During the past year, we had some real problems with leaks and some damage to materials, but we're fine. And some new larger doors that we'll show you a bit more about. Tom and John Fleury have been working very, very hard at going through all the boxes that we got and digging out all the AECL documents. So if someone comes in and says, do you have a copy of AECL XXX? We can find it, we can dig it out, we know who gave it to us. We don't have all of them. There's a total, when we looked at the catalog, of over 12,000. So we're a ways from getting all of them. Can we go to the next slide, Alex? I'll now turn to, and the next one, we've got Don's financial report there. Our income comes from memberships and cash donations largely. Last year, we put out the seed stamp. We still have a fair inventory of it. We expected to sell it at Summerfest and all kind of places like that. COVID caused us some problems. So we still have an inventory, but it gave us a lot of publicity. Expenses are largely insurances, and that will continue to be. Last year, we had a significant one with operating or buying a license for Zoom. And also, we got that big, beautiful model from, I guess, originally AECL Candelabs that went to the Museum of Science and Technology. We couldn't say no to it. It was just too fantastic, but we couldn't get in the building. So for months on end, it sat in walker storage. That has ended. Bank assets are sitting pretty good, but we have to remember we're sitting pretty good because of one very generous donor. We have a donor in town who donated anonymously $10,000. If we didn't have that $10,000 donation, we would continue to have to scramble every year. So that is certainly a fantastic cushion. Besides that big donor, we had $6,000 that Chaz Miller gave the society about 10 years ago. When he passed away, maybe 12, he sent for a nuclear museum, but there wasn't one. So it took a bit of extracting that money from the community foundation, but that we're using partly for the interviews and partly for the security system at the building. Do we have any questions on the treasurer's report? If not, I guess we would ask John to move acceptance of it.
So do that, move the acceptance of the financial reports.
Is there a second to it? Alex, or, sorry, Joe Federer.
And again, that's the calendar year 2020.
That's the calendar year 2020. We have been holding the AGM for covering that year traditionally in October. I have some discussions with the board when we meet again that we're going to try to shift that earlier. The acceptance of the board, I'm sorry, of the report. Those in favor? And anyone against? We have a bit of a delay to check on votes from YouTube if anyone is watching on it. So,
Yep, we're good.
if not, we're carried. Okay. Our budget is a fairly low key thing. Again, we rely on donations. The donation number this year is fairly high. And once again, unfortunately, it is a donation that comes in memory of someone, and it's donations that were given to the society in Michael's name. So donations are up this year. We're hoping that we will be able to get a town grant. Again, the insurances are our biggest problem, and our projects are mostly interviews. We want to be able to get those done and packaged so that before we lose the people. Next slide. Our Constitution says that at every AGM, we shall set the membership fee. At the moment, we have a fee of $20. It seems to be the in-between. The first year was 0, and then if we raise it, we lose members. 20 seems like a nice, good number. Unless we have some other suggestions, I would move that someone propose that we maintain the fee at $20. Is there a motion from the floor for that?
Perhaps the treasurer?
Yeah, nobody else, well, I have.
Okay, Don? And the seconder is Tom Alberger? All those in favor? Any against? Okay, we're good. Next. The election of the board members. Next slide. Okay, our slate right now, Don, Morgan, and Alan were elected in 2017. Re-elected in 2019. They have agreed to stand for re-election. Dave was elected in 2019. He has also agreed to stand. And I twisted Bruce Heimler's arm a little bit. I didn't have to do too hard. Bruce has been very helpful. I cataloged everything that comes in. Some of it is in areas that I have very little knowledge in. So I have to every once in a while go to get help from various people. Bruce has been tremendous for me for all the instrumentation in biology. And Bruce has agreed to stand for election. Tom, Serena, and I are continuing. We were elected last year, and we're on for one more year there. Are there any other elections, or sorry, any other nominations from the floor or from our Zoom audience?
Nope.
I'm not sure, but I have been to meetings where this question is asked for some reason 3 times. Are there any other nominations from the floor or Zoom for director? I'll then ask it for a 3rd time. Are there any nominations from the floor or from Zoom or YouTube for director? Okay, then I guess these people are acclaimed. Yes,
Move to elect as specified. To elect
slate.
the slate as specified.
Okay, by Joe Pedro. Do we have a seconder? Alex Stevens? Thank you to the people who have agreed to continue, and thank you for Bruce joining us. It's not a tremendously difficult job, but it gets pretty busy at times. Okay, next. We did, okay. Okay, what does the next year look like? And in the past, we have had a little bit of a longer vision. We're going to have a building maybe by 2020, by 2019. We don't know where we are. We're in a little bit of a hold mode. So what I would say is we're going to continue with our collection. We have been on the website. There's a lot of pioneer retrospectives. They've been building up. We have had a very, very helpful person is Judy Miller. Her dad was Chas Miller. She lives in Calgary, and someone passes away, or she will then pick up someone who we haven't done yet. And I'm not sure, but I think we might have up the order of 40 pioneer retrospectives on the website, and they will continue to grow. We also want to continue with the video interviews. That's you know, the 6 people I have talked about that we're going to do. We've got 197, 196, 294s in age, and we know in this age of COVID we have to be careful. We're going to continue with the open houses. We will conduct tours whenever we can, and my phone number is on the door, as is Morgan's. We have occasional phone calls. Someone says, I've got relatives in town, can they come and see? I will normally, within a few hours, we can set something up. So we will continue doing that. We'll continue to make presentations to as many groups as would like to hear us. We did that to the PEO and groups of that matter. I talked about the possibility that we were going to have a building, we're going to have a new building, etc. We have some clarification that we have to do. We have a new CEO of AECL. Any significant amount of building construction will probably need a significant input money-wise or a blessing from AECL. The new CEO has still not been able to come to Chalk River. I mean, he moved in, he's got a tremendous job, he's got a huge budget, and he's got lots of things he's got to do. But Dave and I were on a phone call with him in the springtime, and one of the things that he said, which surprised us a little bit, was why would you want to build a museum in Deep River where there aren't very many people? You want a museum like this with the Museum of Science and Technology, or maybe the Science Center in Toronto. So that put a completely different complexion on the situation. The CEO of CNL, on the other hand, has been actively involved in the past with the museum at Oak Ridge, Okie and Spike. And because there's no longer much in the way of enriched fuel at Chalk River anymore, he talked about the possibility of, geez, we have a museum. Maybe we could bus people after that to stand on top of NRU and NRX, and it would be a good combination. However, AECL are the people with the money, CNL spends their money. So we will try to get some clarification. We have had contact with the Museum of Science and Technology in Ottawa. They are up till here in materials. They built a $10 million storage building that before it was finished was too full, and that's why some of the things have been coming here. So we need to know what that is. Our website, we were hoping to improve. Serena can put so much effort in, but we were hoping to change it. CNL partners now have a scheme by which they all throw some money into the pot, and the employees at CNL, and you can correct my interpretation of it all, the employees at CNL are all given, let's say, $250 mythical money that they can put to some particular project. And we were invited to present a project to it, and on a very short basis, Serena. And they put in on improvements and changes onto the website, etc. And the amount that you put in, the employees, if you've got $250, you can put 50 to this and 20 to that, etc. And unless you get the full amount that you asked for, you don't get funded. We didn't get funded, so we'll try it again next year, but it's interesting to know that that exists in the community now. See it now. And those of you who've been around for quite a while know that we used to have a fantastic public information center. 9/11 killed that, and unfortunately, it killed the contents too. And a lot of people don't know whatever happened to the, well, I think they went to the dump. You know, big mechanical arm that you could do things with. So there hasn't been any public information. CNL have now built near the outer gate a new building, a new wooden building that's all wood construction that they're all happy about. And they are planning to put displays into there for the public. And we've been invited to participate into that. Our participation may be limited to providing them with what they got and some information, simply because we don't have enough people to really go in there and do how they do these displays. And the money, I mean, they can hire graphic artists to do all of that. So we'll see how that goes, but that's another output that's going to happen for us. Okay, can we go to the next one? How can you get involved? And certainly some of you have been doing that. I mean, those of us who are into there, you try to do everything that you have to do. I clean our washroom more times at the facility than I cleaned ours at home. Well, not quite. Recently, my wife has had a hip operation, so I've had to do some of that. But we do what we have to, and we have as many people coming to help us as we can. And whatever your skills are, we can use them. Library displays, on the website, articles for the NRT. I've written a large portion of them, but my ideas are beginning to slow down a little bit. We still, on the long run, would like to go to a permanent home. And one of the big things is grant requests. We have a company called I Do Business that we dealt with that have worked very hard with us. We thought last year we had a fantastic presentation made to Library Canada for a virtual museum, etc. But we were competing with many places for a total pot that was roughly $2 million, and we didn't make it. So one of the things that I did not put onto there that we could try this year, Alan Simmons has just had something really great done with his museum. Technology has improved tremendously. Some young fellows who are agents for a company in California came in, set up the camera, took pictures all around his place, stitched them all together, and you do a virtual tour of his place. And I think Alan is quite happy with what they're doing and maybe with some improvements on it. But normally you look at that and say, good grief, this is going to cost an arm and a leg. We have a quote from them for $50 for setting up and $25 a month after that, because they then host you on their website.
Posting on a website in California, Matterport, who's the people behind this technology.
Yeah, but that's
No, it's peanuts.
Yeah, but it's $300 per year. I mean, and it's just where technology is going. We have a slight little problem, and that is Alan has got a more permanent setup. I mean, he keeps collecting things, but ours exponentially increasing for the last 3 years. So if you've got it set up, do we wait for another year, or do we do it now and say, well, that's okay, come back and refilm us? Okay, we'll go to the next one. Anything that, yes, Al?
I should mention, by the way, Canadian Clock Museum, but also the society is a member of the Renfrew County Museums Network. And when I contacted people in charge of the Ottawa Valley Tourist Association to give them a link to see what it looks like on our, and of course, real estate agents use this all the time now as well. One of the key people at the OBTA in Pembroke has some grant money, has chances to find more grant money. So they're very seriously looking at paying those nominal costs for all museums in Renfrew County that want it done, and that includes this society. So
Tremendous.
it maybe no charge at all for a year or more. We don't know.
We'll let you keep your ear onto that one.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Yeah.
Is it worth looking more into students' community hours? To help
I'm
you?
sorry, students?
Yes, they need community hours. To
Yes. I agree. We do have that possibility. One of the problems is partly is the way most of us who work there have been brought up. And you work with ACL's CNL type of rules. And those require that we have some of the emergency services into there and that we have someone else working with the student. Now, there may be some things that we can have the students do. But again, one of our problems is that we're so short on hours from people to supervise even. You have to have some type of supervision. I mean, that's one of the requirements. We have another possibility that CNL have offered, and we will try to see how we can work through that. They have offered the possibility that maybe they would hire someone who is, let's say, taking the museum's course at Algonquin College or somewhere like that. They then hire him. They have to worry about workers' compensation and all of those little goodies that an organization as small as us really have difficulty with. You get 2 for 1 into that case. So certainly, yeah, we're looking at that.
Yeah, I think for your open days, that does have more, if you have more people to help.
That's right. That's right.
And students are free.
Yeah, that's right. And they need to get their 40 hours in. And, yeah. Any other comments, questions? Yes, Dave.
Not a question, it's a comment. Jim, you glossed over the 50 NRT articles, and I wanted to commend you for the effort you put into that. It really does a great job of raising the profile of the society. And I know it hasn't been solely your function, but you've been leading that and spearheading it. And I think it's a great effort that pays dividends to the society. And I also wanted, this has been a difficult year with the passing of Michael Stevens. And I wanted to say on behalf of other board members, acknowledge your stepping up to acting president and taking over with all sorts of challenges this year. And so thank you for that.
Thank you. Tom.
I want to bring your attention to a brand new book, Montreal and the Bomb. Morgan Brown very nicely was able to acquire an advanced copy of this book. It has just been published this month by a publisher in Montreal, written by Gilles Savarin, an English translation of the French title, same name. And it deals with the history of the Montreal labs, which predated the war. And it's all about the race to the research to develop the A-bomb. And it's like a spy novel in parts, all the way from smuggling the heavy water from France to Britain, and later the researchers coming from Britain to Montreal. And these were the same people who later came to talk over, including Choctaw and others. I cataloged it, and as soon as it gets the label, will be on our shelves for members to borrow after I finish reading it. I also recommended that the public library have a copy, so even our non-members will be able to read it very soon.
I'll give you a little bit more background on that also, and that Gilles is a member of this society, has been for several years. Morgan has had some significant interactions with him. The book was first published in French and has received some prestigious award in Quebec. It was then translated into English, and about a week ago, they had the book launch in the English version. It was a YouTube, maybe Zoom, I can't distinguish sometimes. A Zoom event anyway, and they had people from all over the world, including Halban's family and including Christopher Cockcroft on it. And near the end, they asked some questions, and Christopher Cockcroft had said, you know, Deep River had these black lives and various things happening. There was an opportunity for some questions. Well, I couldn't resist. So I hopped in on the question period and suggested that, yes, we still have some black lives here, but we also have a society that is looking at the preservation of Canada's nuclear history. Please look at nuclearheritage.com. That was filmed onto YouTube, and this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I got the link to the YouTube link, and we're on there. I'm on immediately after Christopher, and Morgan during the broadcast sent in a number of chats as well. So it turned out we've spread the word out and a bit more as well. We also hosted about a month ago a lady from a magazine called Quebec Science. And she was going to do a tour of 51 Poplar as well as the lab. Very late in the game, I found out that her interest was mostly about the accidents that had happened, which wasn't a good thing to find out. But anyway, she did come to 51 Poplar. We did show her around. We looked at the nice model of NRX that we got. And today I also received a copy of Quebec Science, and she has written it. My French is not good enough to understand all of it, but it's another exposure for us. I looked where my name I could see and what my quotations were, and with my poor French, I don't think I did anything to disparage us. So I'm going to get maybe Charlie Longley, who I think is on Zoom there, to see if he's willing to translate it for us. If there's no other questions or comments, yeah.
A little more comment actually along this line. One thing Serena has been trying to do is to get us a Wikipedia page for our society. And one thing we need is, what do you call it? Not accountability. We have to have exposure to different places.
Like a third party needs to write about this.
That's right. So if we're quoted in this article, that's another source. Of course, we've got lots of NRT articles. And I'm not quite sure if the book, I think the book mentions Montreal and the Bomb, because interestingly, this past early this summer, I think it was, some of our members here going through donation boxes came across two previously unknown to us photographs of Bruno Pontecorvo, the great physicist who may have been a spy, who ended up defecting to the USSR. And we scanned them and sent these to Gilles. And he was quite excited because there's young Bruno Pontecorvo with two young females with him, and he's playing mouth organ, walking away from the university downtown. And they are now in the book, and I think we're accredited. So yes, this kind of thing gives us just a little bit more exposure, then perhaps we can get our own Wikipedia page. So,
and just to mention the person who was going through the boxes and found those two, John Flory. Thank you, John.
oh, it's John. There we go. Thank you.
Jim, we did have a comment online. This is from Janet, who you may know. She said if we want to try to attract students to use their 40 volunteer hours, she can help / liaise with the school.
Okay, I will lean on her. That's my daughter. Yes,
I suppose I just wanted to take a moment, and I know my mom's on the stream there, but just to say thanks to everyone for their kindness and, you know, words and flowers and efforts and everything everyone has done in basically losing my dad, Michael there. I know even just seeing this with everyone in the room here would mean a lot to him. It feels really great to be a part of that myself to continue on in this much smaller capacity, but in some ways that I can. And I know my mom and my family, Katie, wants to say thanks for everything. And one small comment on the video interviews. I'm really looking forward to getting going with that. If you've been down to 51 Poplar, Jim and Morgan have seen it. We have a full proper set that I've been building. My mom helped even iron the curtains there as the nice backdrop. I just got to get in there and do the lighting, and Digital Copy Express is getting the logo printed out, which I'm going to stick to the wall there. So it's going to look great, and the ball's really rolling with that even within weeks. Going with that.
great. And we'll go to the next, which is adjournment. I do have a few slides of new things we brought into the place, new arrangements into the building. We're probably at the end of the first period in the hockey game anyway, so another 15 or 20 minutes and we let you go.
Some people are probably recording it, so there you are.
Yes. So, do we need a motion to adjourn? We'll have one anyway. Joe has made the motion. Do we have a seconder? John Fleury.
Is this one of the ones where we don't have to vote on it?
I don't know.
That's correct.
Done.
Done. Okay. Next slide. Okay, next one. Okay, you've all seen the building. First version of this had the foundation off by 2 degrees, which Alan stood spotted, so it's got a flat foundation at the bottom.
But the building is not falling down. That's misleading.
that's
That
right.
picture.
The lighting, I wonder if we can catch one more switch there.
There's a little breaker on there.
Well, if we catch one more switch, I think we will be fine. Get one of those. There we go. Okay, next slide. Can you see? Okay, big new doors at the back. We're hoping within a few months also, you will see a complete change here. We've been offered one of the big inspection tools from NRU. They built 2 of them when they had the big leak that Dave knows absolutely everything about. One of them never got into the reactor, never got contaminated. And they said, would you like that? And when we went down there and I looked and I paced off, and it's 46 feet long. Our whole building's only 44 feet long. So we got them to hack it down to about 16 feet, which will come from the doors to about here. There's also a chain of fuel, a dummy that was used for producing Molly 99. So we have to keep making room and making changes. Next, please. Once the double doors were in, we were able to get the model of the advanced can-do. And previous years, you saw a table in the middle where we used to hold meetings. We're getting more things, and if you don't recognize the shelving, it was all the bread shelving in Value Mart that they threw up. We'll scrounge anywhere. Next. The library room also had a great big empty area in the middle. There's now approximately 900 books in there, and shelves are filling up with photographs. We do have space, so we will continue to collect and accept things from people. And the next. This is the big room with the tall ceiling. You'll notice at the very end in the upper corner, we finally succeeded in getting the red underwear. That's now quoted in this article in Quebec Science. This is the model from NRX in the middle here. And We had another model came with it, was the rod base, and we're having difficulty getting information from ACL of how to assemble it again. It's in pretty bad shape. We go to the next. Document collection, we now, I think we're bucks, Tom, 54? 54, so they're not all full, but we've taken things out, but there's a lot of material. We've got memos, we've got things of that matter to sort out through. Next one. Something we haven't discussed or mentioned very often in the past has been the photographic collection. I said we have over 1,500 of them. Photographs of equipment are great to have. Photographs with people in them are even greater. So if we go to the next slide, what I have spent a lot of time on is going through the photographs, naming the people or phoning people to say, who is that person into there? These are all on Excel. So with the find feature on Excel, if you want to know if the society has got a picture of Charlie Grindle, just go down and it'll say, look in binder, etc. So wherever possible, I have tried to do that, and we do have, as I say, 1,500 photographs. Next. Walt Wojtowicz has been a person who has helped us out an awful lot with various old pieces of equipment. When we first went to see him about 3 years ago, he had this block of aluminum with holes in it that he was very, very proud of, but that's all it was. What do you do with this thing? About 2 years later, he came along and he actually had manipulators made that he had used before. And what this was a target chamber in the early days for producing accelerator targets. So now what we sort of have looking at is a pretend, this would normally be sitting on a big vacuum pump. And there would be the material in a little boat where you might be evaporating 3 milligrams of holmium-166 or something, evaporated onto a thin sheet of plastic, and that would be the targets. Attached to there is a letter from Bromley. Bromley was an early, really good nuclear physicist at Chalk River who went to Yale. Eventually, he was scientific advisor to US presidents. He tried to entice Walter to go to Yale. And in fact, he even enticed us in with the fact that Walter was a single guy. There was this nice new postdoc from Sweden that they had, and Walt didn't eventually go. Next. The widow of Franco just recently called me and she said, I've got a few more things. So these are more modern accelerator targets that were made just before the era that task closed down. Next.
And those are some of the many signs that have been donated from various labs and whatever. So we didn't make those. Those are original.
That's right. And in fact, we had a big box of them that I never got around to doing very much with. And Morgan had some great fun recently placing them in and around the building. We've got a special one in the washroom that when you come next time, you have to take a look at it. Bruce Bigham and his daughter, I think, went to an estate sale in Karawawa, and they found this. This was the plaque from Cockcroft School. And when the school got converted into apartments, the plaque disappeared, and it showed up in this garage sale, so that we have now in the collection. Next. The back phone. So this was a telephone that was used in NRU. If they had a big problem, they didn't need to dial anyone. They were hooked in direct, and I gather it was never used. Next. Retirement gifts. These are some of the more interesting ones that show around. That was, there was a famous family in Pembroke the Clats. They were known, and their carvings went worldwide. That one was given to Walt Wojtowicz. And for those of you who are looking time-wise, Walt retired from ACL in 1976. And a lot of people in this room didn't start working at ACL by then, so he's been around for a while.
Some people in this room were born then, right?
That's right. I didn't check on that. I personally can always say that I've lived right through the nuclear age. I was born 10 months before the reactor in Chicago in critical. The next one, manuals. So this was, Louise Boxman dropped this off a few weeks ago. This has got the details for all the secretaries, exactly how you have to write the memos, exactly how you've got to write what you capitalize, what you don't capitalize, all the Greek letters in the proper order, things of that matter. And I think we got one more. Oh, two more. Different mementos have been 50th anniversary, 60th anniversary of various things. A lot of those keep piling up. And the next one, a double helix lamp. When Marco, who had been a long time director of health physics, when he retired, I gather that he requested a double helix lamp. And unfortunately, the stories, Mark was gone, so I can't check them. Some of these angles on these things weren't quite right. So the shops have to do it again. So it's sometimes joked about being the $10,000 lamp that got made for Marco. I think that is the last slide. Yep. We can get the lights. I think we've got an ending here. Okay.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Cookies and coffee at the back?
Well, with the COVID rules, they're not.
Morgan's busy on other things.
No one told me to bring cookies.
No, I know Morgan's the one who has cookies sometimes.
Joe actually brought us in some nice containers that look like shortbread cookies, but they're actually some of our T. Robertson's slides. It's probably dry as hell to eat.
So Tom, do we have a copy of the book too?
Yes,
We do.
in mending, but so the new one from Leslie will be quite well.
I'm reading it right now. It's a novel written by someone who's here at ACL.
It's true.
It's not on the bestseller list.
I'm worried about the battery.
I'm gonna read that one sometimes it's 4 hours a day.
Now you can,
Yes.
whatever you send into whomever it is you send, and say, yes, we've had an
Yeah, I know, yeah. Get rid of some of your- That's the last.
Do we have anything on here?